Hey, Kane, no, come on, man. You get a Series 4 deatomizer, I get a little midget cricket.
Okay, this may be one of the strongest hunter builds that I have ever seen. It takes two of the least used exotics in the game and makes it into one of the most powerful combos when we combine it with some of the mods this season. The main combo here is going to be Devil's Ruin, Mechaneers Tricksleeves, and then a new mod from Season of Arrival called Surprise Attack. There are a lot of moving parts with this build, but first let's talk about that main combo that we just spoke about, just to show you how powerful it really is. With this combo, when used effectively, we can essentially insta-kill bosses that you'd otherwise need heavy ammo or a super to take down efficiently. And this is mostly in part to a new mod that we get this season in Season of Arrivals called Surprise Attack, which you can pick up from the prismatic recaster next to the drifter. This mod takes any charges of light that we have and transfers them into a sidearm damage buff. Now when we combine this sidearm damage buff with the Mechaneers Tricksleeves perk as well as the powerful laser from Devil's Ruin, we are dealing a lot of damage with just some primary ammo. And then after we combine this with an Oppressive Darkness grenade, we get some of the highest DPS that you can achieve in the game, and this damage is both light on resources and easily repeatable multiple times within any encounter. And that's not to mention that this build has overload grenades as well as stagger, meaning that we can take down overload champions and unstoppable champions as part of the build. So before we get into the nitty gritty, let's make sure that we show off the gear required for this build so that you can set it up yourself. And remember to check the timestamps to make sure that you're watching the most relevant information for you. In our primary slot, we'll be using the Mountaintop Legendary Grenade Launcher. Our exotic weapon will be the Devil's Ruin Sidearm. For our heavy slot, you can use whatever your favorite heavy weapon currently is. I'm using Temptation's Hook with Relentless Strikes and Vorpal Weapon, but feel free to use whatever you're comfortable with here. I will say both of the new legendary swords this season are definitely worth checking out because they do some ridiculous damage and don't use much ammo for the power that they output. For our exotic armor piece, we'll be using the Mechaneers Tricksleeves, and its perk is Spring-Loaded Mounting. Increases sidearm ready and reload speed. While you're critically wounded, swapping to a sidearm increases its damage. Otherwise, for armor, we'll be using a full legendary set with the following mods. On our helmet, we'll be using Special Ammo Finder and Surprise Attack. On the Tricksleeves, we'll be using Enhanced Grenade Launcher Loader and Sidearm Loader. On our chest, we'll be using Overload Grenades, Countercharge, and Supercharged. On our legs, we'll be using Special Ammo Scavenger and Blast Radius. And then on our cape, we'll be using Oppressive Darkness and Stacks on Stacks. As for stats, we actually want to minimize the recovery stat while maximizing mobility and discipline. And as for our subclass, we'll be using Top Tree Night Stalker, known as Way of the Trapper. And with this subclass, you can use whatever grenade you're comfortable with, but I do recommend using Marksman's Dodge. So as mentioned earlier, the main point of this build is to transfer our charges of light into that stacking sidearm damage bonus, but how do we get those charges of light in the first place? Well, that is actually made very easy when we combine the Mountaintop Grenade Launcher with the Blast Radius mod. For every double kill that we get with the Mountaintop, we actually get 2 charges of light, and that's thanks to Blast Radius and Stacks on Stacks. Blast Radius usually gives us just 1 charge of light per double kill with the Mountaintop, but because we added Stacks on Stacks, we multiply that by 2. And when we add the Supercharged mod, our maximum charges of light actually goes up to 4 from 2. So after we kill 4 enemies rapidly, 2 at a time, and then swap to our sidearm, we actually gain 20 stacks of the sidearm damage bonus at a rate of 5 stacks per charge of light. Each tick of damage we do with the sidearm takes away 1 of the stacks of damage buff, meaning that with the Devil's Ruin Charge Up laser, we can actually get 2 full lasers off before we have to recharge ourselves with light and then start again. But again, charging yourself back to maximum charges of light is very easy, considering that all we need to do is kill 2 sets of 2 enemies with the Mountaintop Grenade Launcher in relative succession. As an added bonus, we actually have the Countercharge mod, which gives us 2 charges of light each time we either stagger an opponent with our Devil's Ruin or use an Overload Grenade on an Overload champion. So our damage with the Devil's Ruin combo is already fantastic, especially if we add an Oppressive Darkness grenade or even a tether on top, but we can actually push this ridiculous damage 1 step further, and this is where the Mechaneers Tricksleeves come into play. As I mentioned before, when you're critically wounded, swapping to a sidearm increases its damage. Now this damage increase actually happens to be 100%, which means that we are dealing 2 times damage when we're critically wounded and we swap to a sidearm. And it's when we add that damage multiplier on top of the Surprise Attack damage stacks that this build gets absolutely insane. Majors and bosses literally disappear if you use the charged attack with Devil's Ruin, and setting this combo up is as easy as dodging when you get to critical health, because with Top Tree Night Stalker, whenever we dodge we go invisible, and while we're invisible we're safe to swap to the Devil's Ruin, throw a grenade to get that Oppressive Darkness effect, and then get the absolutely ridiculous damage cap that we're looking for here. And for the ideal damage combo, we can even put down a tether beforehand. I also like to add a Temptation's Hook power attack into the front of this combo. And with this, we can get a really clean combo, a lot of damage without using any resources at all, while also being something that we can repeat multiple times within one encounter. But anyways guys, this is a really fun build. This will be the end of the commentary for this video. The rest will be raw gameplay of me using this build on the moon. If you have any questions about the build, feel free to check the pinned comment, leave a comment of your own, or even join up on the Discord and ask any questions. As always, thanks so much for watching, and have a good one.
We thank you, Guardian, and we will never forget.